Okay guys, here's a quick video of how to put a Turnigy backlight kit into a Spektrum DX6i. It's been done quite a bit before. There's some good write-ups on it. In fact, I'll put a link to one of the good write-ups that I found. A couple things you're going to need. Obviously the DX6i. You're going to need the light kit from Hobby King. Just a $5 I think, plus shipping. I have some extra wire just in case. What I'm going to be doing is I'm also going to be putting a toggle switch in that controls the light so it's not on all the time. You don't have to do that, but that's what I'm going to be doing. You're going to need a good screwdriver set. In fact, you're going to need a small, longer screwdriver, and I'll show you why. I'm using a drill set just because I'm drilling a hole for the toggle switch. You're going to want some paper and a pencil or a pen. I have some servo connectors for the switch, and I'll show you that. Need some good tools, good wire strippers, good wire cutters, a good knife. That's the toggle switch I'm going to be using. I'll put a link to it. It's from Radio Shack. Electrical tape. This 3M tape you're going to need. I'll show you that during the video. A good soldering station. Some solder. And then obviously a hot glue gun. Okay? Let me adjust the camera here and I'll get started. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Okay, you see now it doesn't have a light on, and then if everything goes right, at the end you'll see that's going to light up a nice blue color. So, okay. I'm using the styrofoam that it came in just because it's easier to work on. I can work on it, you know, while it's face down and not have to worry about watching out for these sticks at all. So. Okay, first thing, take the batteries out. Hopefully my hands don't get in the way. You're going to find the 6 screws. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 up here, 5, 6. Let's go ahead and remove those. Make sure you have a very nice Phillips head screwdriver too. You don't want to strip these screws out. Be careful so you don't scratch any of the surfaces. Okay, here's where you're going to want the long screwdrivers for these. They're really tucked down in there. Okay, carefully lift up the transmitter. It's going to want to come apart on you. You don't want to lose these screws, so what I'm going to do is tip them into the foam here just so I can catch them and locate them. Okay, they're all the same length, so don't worry about mixing them up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want to put them in a safe spot. Okay. Okay, what you're going to do, you're going to carefully separate this, okay? There's some connectors that are in here, so you don't want to, you know, yank the thing apart. You got to really be delicate with it, okay? Okay. Yeah, you're going to see all these connectors in here. What I'm going to be using is a pair of needle nose pliers. Now be very careful if you're going this route, using needle nose pliers, because these connectors get really soft and you don't want to break them, because then, well, obvious reasons it won't go back together. So, okay, carefully loosen each one. The biggest key here is don't rush. Take your time, okay? Alright, now we have the back free, okay? Just 3 connectors loosens the back. Alright. You're going to put the back to the side. Okay. Now this is what you see. You're going to want to loosen this screw here. There's one screw here. That's going to loosen this whole unit here. Whoops. Let me get a better camera angle here. Okay. Let's go ahead and loosen that. Okay, carefully remove this. Don't just, don't be yanking stuff around here, okay? Lift it straight up. It's got some pins underneath it. Okay. See that it's got those pins there? Carefully set that over to the side. Okay. Okay guys, once you have the this module out of the way, you're going to want to start taking off these white connectors. Now, you're going to see 6 screws that hold this main board on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to want to leave those in right now while you take the connectors out. If you start taking out these screws and then try to take the connectors out, this board will be loose and it'll be tricky to get these connectors out. To loosen the connectors, you just want to use probably a pair of needle nose pliers or a tiny flathead screwdriver. But be very careful when you're loosening these white connectors because they're very soft, and they're really not really flexible, but they are kind of soft. So take care. Just be very patient, very gentle with what you're doing. You don't want to, slide off with your tool and cut a wire or something. So what I did is I actually went through and I loosened all these very carefully. It was taking a really long time, so I just very carefully loosened them all. So now I can just come and pull all these off. Okay. Okay. Now, what you got to do now is undo these screws in the corner of this this main board here. The reason, excuse me, the reason why you want to leave this screw and this screw in for right now is it's holding the brackets on the underside of the circuit board that hold the screen. Okay, so you want to keep those in for now until you get the whole unit out, and then you can proceed from there. But leave those in for now and just do the corner screws. Okay. Hopefully my hands don't get in the way here too much. Okay, now you have those 4 screws out. This board's going to be a little loose. You're going to want to pull it out, but be very careful. You'll notice the charging port on the side. I didn't unplug that just because it slides out and it can come with the board. So be very careful as you're sliding this out. Okay, that's it. The screen is on the other side. See those white clips holding it on? That's where those 2 screws go. So you don't want to loosen that, otherwise when you pull the main board out, your screen's going to be loose. Okay? Alright. Make sure you have a nice clean surface to put this on. This isn't the cleanest, but just for demonstration, I'll just put it right here. Okay, next thing you're going to want to do is loosen this. There's a little gray piece right here that holds this ribbon in. You're going to want to be very careful. You don't want that to come all the way off, but you just want to pull it back just loose enough so you can pull the cabling out. Okay. So let's see if I can do this. Okay, just a little bit at a time. You don't want the whole thing to come off, okay? There you see it's loose. Now you'll know it's loose because you can pull the, oh, not yet. Okay. Slowly work it out. Now you don't want to damage this ribbon, okay? It'll slide out. Okay, there it is. Okay. Now, you want to keep the screen on the board. And here's where the paper and pencil come in handy, because you want to measure up where the screen is, because when you reassemble everything, you want the screen to be even. So when you go to turn your transmitter on, your display is not crooked. Okay, so what we're going to do, some rough drawings here. Hopefully you can see this. Okay, what I'm going to be doing is taking my pencil, and you're probably not going to be able to see it from your angle, but what I'm going to do, put some rough marks on here. Very hard to tell. Make sure you're getting everything square. Now when you put everything back, you're going to be able to see if your screen's uneven. This is more to kind of make sure you're on the right, you know, side to side, you know, this way or this way. You'll be able to tell kind of up and down and how square it is just by eyeballing it. But this way, drawing the little marks, lets you know exactly where you need the alignment to be. Okay. Is there a better way to do this? Probably. But this would be good enough. Now if you run into a problem where your screen is not level or not aligned right, you can always come back later and adjust things to a certain extent. Okay. Okay. It's a good idea to not go by the white. Don't go by the white pieces, because you're not going to be using the white pieces after this modification. So what you're going to want to do is draw the line corresponding to the screen, top of the screen. Okay. However you want to do it. Whatever works for you. But that's what's going to work for me. So, all right, put that aside. You might want to label it. I'll put ribbon is that side. Well, actually, it's looks like the video might be reversed. Well, we'll look at that later. Okay. Now what you're going to want to do is undo those two screws to loosen everything. Okay, they're the same screws as the other four, so it doesn't matter if you mix those up. Okay, here's the back of the screen. These white things will slide right off. Okay. Grab your backlight kit. In the backlight kit, you're going to notice the panel comes with this foam. We're not going to be using the foam in this case. The foam is used for the Turnigy 9X. So right now we're going to use the just the panel. Okay. You'll notice there's one side of the panel that has some protective clear plastic on it. We're going to remove that. Some people don't remove it, some people do. Just in this case, I'm going to remove it. Okay. Mine is on the side where the okay, what you don't want to do is you don't want to start peeling the white stuff off. Okay. Okay, you got your screen here. What we're going to do is we're going to, when you take that plastic thing off, it's not sticky, it's just a protective thing. Don't get anything between, or try not to get anything between the light panel and the screen, okay? So what you're going to do is you line it up. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now this is where right now it doesn't stick together. This is where you're going to want to get the hot glue. Just glue the corner. So I've had my hot glue gun going and plugged in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue the corners of the screen to the light panel itself. Okay. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Hopefully that's clear enough. Okay. So without burning the foam, make sure it's aligned. Okay, just simply glue each corner real quickly. You don't want it to sit there for a while. Make sure your glue gun's working first of all. Okay. Put a little dab of glue here. I don't know if my gun's working. There it goes. Okay, a little dab there. A little dab there. Remember, you don't need a whole lot. I'm probably using too much here, but okay. So that should be enough. If you have any of the strings, make sure you get those off, okay? Actually, for good measure, we're going to go ahead and put some more glue spots here. Okay. Okay. And that's it for the hot glue. So what you do is you go ahead and unplug your hot glue gun, just for safety. And this is the time you want to start getting your soldering gun to warm up. And by the time we need it, it'll be nice and warm. Okay. So we'll kind of let this cool down a little bit. Get all the glue strings away. All right. The panel is in fact glued on there. We're just going to let that dry for a little bit here. Okay. Okay. Now what we're going to do is take your light panel. You see this black heat shrink? You're going to want to take that heat shrink off. Okay. Get a nice sharp knife. It's almost off. Okay. Remove the heat shrink. You're going to see a circuit board in here. Okay. Okay, once you have that heat shrink off, you're going to want to start to cut some of these wires, and it's very important which ones you cut. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take our wire cutters. Make sure you got a nice good pair of wire cutters. We're actually going to cut. We're going to cut this connector right off. Okay. Cut it right at the base. So there it is. Cut the whole thing right off. Okay. What you're going to do now is you're going to want to align it like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to cut on the side away from the black. You're going to cut this first one. Okay, you're going to cut this first one. Be very careful. Okay. You're going to leave the next two. Okay, you're going to leave the next two. Okay. And then you're going to cut the black and the two red right next to it. Okay. Just be very careful here again. Okay. So what you end up with is something that looks like that. Okay. Now what you can do is the connector from the light kit that you just took the shrink wrap off, you're going to plug this connector into that. Okay, there's a couple different ways this has been done, but this seems to be the quickest way, or the easiest way. But go ahead and plug this into that. So it's going to look like that. Kind of weird looking. But later we can kind of dab all these with a soldering gun and take those little wire stubs off. So that's what it's going to look like, okay? Okay. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is put this whole assembly back onto the main board that came off in the first place. So what you're going to do, let me zoom out here a second. What you're going to do, you're going to take it like this. You're going to take that 3M tape that we had here. You're going to want to cut some of the pieces. Now what you're going to do is you're going to lay the tape, 2 pieces right across here and here. Now this is going to replace these little white connectors. You're not going to need these white connectors anymore, okay? Another reason to use this 3M tape is it's pretty thin. If you use the foam pad that came with the light kit, it's going to be way too thick. You're going to have spacing issues, so I don't know if you can see that, but the 3M tape is quite a bit thinner, okay? Okay, to cut the tape, you're going to want a good pair of scissors, which is what I forgot to mention the first part of the video, but make sure you got a good pair of scissors. Okay. Okay. This first piece of tape you're going to want to put right on the board. Okay. In fact, I might trim it down a little bit. You're going to probably want it about a 1/2 inch by 1 inch. Okay. Okay. Push it down quite a bit. One thing you might run into is these the back of the soldering. These pins might be a little tall, so if they are, just trim them down a little bit with some wire cutters. I don't think it'll be too long on this one, but we'll see. Okay. Okay, the tape doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Let's do a test fit here. Okay, right now you can already tell that some of these things are going to be too, well, maybe not. Yeah, just be careful because sometimes you see some of these pins are too long, so I think we're good. Okay, now before you put it on, take your template that you've made, and line it all back up. Okay. Make sure everything's clear. You're going to put this back, and now you're not going to line it with a white light panel. You're going to still line it with a screen. So make sure everything is perfect. This is where you're really going to tell if you have the screen crooked. Okay. Okay, my old storage memory card filled up, so I don't know what on the last clip you missed, but make sure everything's aligned. Push it down. Now make sure you don't line it up with the white panel. Again, you will line it up with the screen and the board. Okay. Now what you're going to notice is the light panel is still a little loose because of the paper that's on the back of the light kit. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to hurt anything, so just be aware of that. Okay, so you got the assembly. Now what we want to do, we're going to want to put it back into your transmitter. Before you put it back in, you might want to strip the end of these wires here. Well, no, let's go ahead and put it in here. Now take care not to get any dust on this the screen or anything, okay? Oh, before we put it in, it's going to be easier to, if you get the ribbon back in where it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the ribbon back in. Okay, just push the ribbon back in. You're going to feel it go all the way in. Okay, now just push in the that gray thing. Okay, ribbon's in. Now let's put it in here. Okay. You're going to go ahead and put the 4 corner screws back in. Okay, what you're going to do here is just put it in lightly, don't put it all the way down, and if you do this corner, go ahead and do the opposite corner, not on this side, but on the opposite corner diagonally. Okay, put this one in loose, very loose. What you don't want to happen is any flex in the screen to occur. Okay. Okay, slowly tighten these screws. Okay. You don't need to put that screw in and that screw in because what's on the other side is that the light kit, so you don't put those 2 screws back in, okay? So let's go ahead and let's start plugging these connectors in. And make sure you're not pushing on the wires, you're pushing on the plastic, the white plastic. Last thing you want to do is damage any of these wires. It's pretty easy to tell where these white clips go, just because of the length of the wires that's attached to them. Alright, now I'm running out a little bit of time, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the switch for a different video. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put, I'm going to finish off this, get the backlight working, and then come back, do another video for the switch, okay? Alright. So get everything back together. I'm going to go ahead and strip these two wires. Just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. Okay, what you're going to want to do is, once you've stripped these wires, let me zoom in here a second. You're going to want to take the wire that's closest to the black, on the black side. You see how there's a black and a red wire coming off the back of the board? Well, this wire here is on the red side, this wire here is, I would call, on the black side. You're going to want to take this black one, and what you're going to do is you're going to solder it right to this point. Okay, right on that board. So let's go ahead and get the soldering out. Okay, make sure you got a nice clean soldering point. Clean it off if you have to. Okay. What we're going to want to do is tin the end of these wires so they'll stick to the other solder points real nice. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and re-tin this one. Just so there's a nice blob of solder on that one so I can stick this wire. Okay, remember the one on the black, it's still a red wire, but it's the one on the black side, essentially. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and solder right on there. Okay. Make sure it's on there. Alright, the other wire is going to go right to the point just to the lower right of it, okay? Down here, you'll see this, there's a point right there. Right to the lower right, okay? You'll see this kind of pot of 6 of them. It's the bottom left one, okay? Right there. So, let's go ahead and tin that one. A nice blob of solder on it so it sticks. Okay, let's go ahead. Stick this one on there. All right. do a little tug test. Make sure they don't come off. And while you have your soldering gun, remember how the back of this had all those wire stubs on it? It's probably good now to go ahead and touch those, get them loose, and pull those wires off. So what I'm going to do is grab my needle nose, just grab the end of those wires. Okay. Probably want to do it maybe 1 by 1 or 1 by 2 or 2 by 2. Just take them off, just so they're not in the way or make contact with anything. You could cut them real short. Probably easier, but I'll just go ahead and do this. All right. Take a quick peek. Make sure you didn't cross any solder over the lines there. So. All right. So that's pretty much it. What you might want to do is just take some electrical tape and kind of wrap that connector back up. Get it out of the way, or just make sure it doesn't touch anything. Let's go ahead and get a piece of tape going here. Just go ahead and get it nice and tucked out of the way. Okay. Now let's go ahead and reassemble the transmitter. Well, one thing I forgot. Before you reassemble the transmitter, we gotta put the module back on. This thing. Otherwise we would get no signal. Okay. So go ahead and put it back on carefully. Another thing, before you do this, see how I put the wires on? I soldered them on kind of, well, you can't see it, hold on. Kind of flat. That way they're out of the way from this module once I press it down, okay? So push it down. Take that one silver screw that you took out. Okay. Now, my soldering gun just tipped over. Okay, let's go ahead and put the cover back on. before we get all the screws back in, what I'm going to do is just put the batteries back in. I'm going to get 2 screws on just so it doesn't come apart. I'm going to put the batteries back in and make sure everything turns on. If it doesn't turn on, then you don't have to go back and take all the screws out. Okay. Hey, what do you know? Looks good. Okay, you're gonna look at it, make sure everything's aligned. Looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and reassemble everything. So that's how you put the Turnigy backlight kit in the DX6i. Thanks.